Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to give you guys an update on my geranium cuttings here. So a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago, I took these cuttings. It looks like about half of them have survived, and I'll show you which half that is. So starting with the trailing geraniums, they've actually all completely died. I'm not surprised about that because, as I said when I was taking the cuttings, the plant was really leggy, didn't have many leaves on it, and it was looking really sickly. I think what had happened with them is basically there wasn't enough energy in the stems and there was just really leggy growth, and the plant was suffering because it was winter time. If I had taken the cuttings in summer, most likely would have survived, but as you can see they've all died. Well, I wasn't too surprised about that. I did say that they would probably be quite a slim chance of survival. However, my zonal geraniums here, they've actually done quite well. For some reason this pot had one or two plants die off, but otherwise the rest are still alive at the moment, but they don't look like they're properly rooted. And the reason for that is you can see they haven't put in any strong growth. There's a little bit of new growth just starting to appear here and there, but generally these leaves are the ones that were already on it when I took the cuttings. So these haven't fully taken root yet, so I can't transplant them yet. However, this pot has done a lot better. I think the reason was this was kept a bit drier. I'm thinking that the one might have had a little bit of rot, which is why some of them died off. But you can see here there's some good bit of growth. There's loads of new leaves. There's probably about 1 centimetre or so of new growth in some of these cuttings. There's a couple down the bottom still which probably haven't taken root as they're not sprouting very quickly. And there's even a flower bud on this one starting to appear already. But I'm going to nip that one off because I don't need any flowers. And you can see here again, flower bud. I'm going to take that off because I want all the energy to go into roots and leaves. And I don't want it to flower yet. I want it to flower in summer, but I don't want it to flower at this time of year. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to separate these two plants which are definitely rooted, pot them up in this trough. This trough originally had 3 geraniums. This geranium here is actually the mother plant of these cuttings, and as you can see there's quite a few nice shoots starting to appear from where I pruned it, so that's going to spread out really nicely. These 2 geraniums were never quite as healthy as this one, and the frost just killed them off. So what I'm going to do is plant these 2 cuttings in here. That way all 3 plants will match nicely because they'll be identical plants. And also, I know this is quite a strong plant, so these cuttings coming from this plant are going to grow really well over the summer. So I'm going to carefully tease these plants out. I don't want to damage the roots. I'm going to try and just kind of gently tip them out. Now if these were all rooted, I'd probably just tip out the whole pot and separate them all like that. But because these 2 haven't rooted properly, and I'm wanting to be careful with these, actually 3 at the front, these 3, I'm not going to tip the whole pot out. I'm just going to try and get these 2 plants out. So I'm just going to put on the side and very gently pull at the plants, and hopefully they'll come out without too much root loss. So that's one cutting there. Just go ahead with the other one here. There we go. And I'll just make sure these ones are potted back up with enough soil. These ones will remain in the propagator until they start showing signs of strong growth, and then they'll be ready to go on into some new plant pots because I'll need the extra space for them to grow. So as I say, these 2 cuttings have done well. This one's got a few roots on, it's not too bad. You can see there's a few roots showing on that one. But this one over here has done much better. You can see there's really quite good root growth on that. And they're quite nice healthy white roots as well, so that shows that it's doing quite well. So these should definitely survive now. So I'm just going to pop them up inside this tub. First of all, just make a little hole for them to go into. I have to be a little bit careful with these because the roots are going to be very delicate still. So I'm just going to pop them in about the height that they were in the compost already, because the thing is if I plant them with the soil just covering where the roots are, it'll be very top heavy and it'll probably fall over. So we'll actually bury the stem quite a bit, and as I put a lot of perlite in this compost, there shouldn't be a problem with the stems rotting off. Just going to place it in and then carefully firm the compost around it, just being as careful as I can not to break the roots, because at this stage the roots are going to be very delicate. And then I'm just going to gently firm it in just so that the wind doesn't rock it around too much. So that's those 2 planted up. Now I'm going to put these in quite a sheltered position, because if I was to put them straight outside from the propagator they would get quite badly damaged with the wind burn. Also because they've been used to growing in lower light conditions and high humidity, high temperature. When they go outside it'll be quite cold with higher light intensity, so the leaves would crisp out quite easily. So I put them in quite a sheltered position, let them acclimatise for a couple of days, and just slowly introduce them to the outside environment. And these should grow away quite happily. They'll be quite slow for a little while because it's still March. And actually still a bit of snow on the ground, but they should do fine once April comes and they get a bit more warmth. If there's any frost, I'll still need to take this trough inside because these aren't really fully frost hardy. They can take probably about -1, so anything below -1, and I'll take the trough inside to protect it over the coldest nights. But otherwise, I'm hopefully going to leave this outside permanently now, once these two have acclimatized, that is. And I'll give you guys an update probably in a few months' time. It'll probably be about April or May time. Hopefully these will be grown by then, and they should also be flowering because these, as you saw, they're already starting to grow flower buds. And these zonal geraniums, the pelargoniums, they really flower very nicely and very easily, and often they flower year round.